Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chitty Sabro Show. JoJo back at it again with another book review. Tonight we are going to be discussing Cold Moon Over Babylon by Michael McDowell. So I've been trying to knock out a bunch of horror things for this month. I know we did the Rocky video most recently, but before that we talked about Sellers by John Shirley. I think my next foray into horror is going to be a Peter Straub book. So that's going to be pretty fun. I'm trying to knock a bunch of these out before October's over. So I'm really putting the pedal to the metal on this one and trying to knock out in my free time novel after novel after novel. So hopefully y'all are having some fun times with these. I know I'm having a great time knocking out some of this stuff, getting into the spooky season. But this is a great addition to that foray. So I've never read this before. You know, when I was younger or anything, this is my first time reading anything by Michael McDowell also. And it's great fun. This is a probably 4 out of 5 star book. Michael McDowell is a fantastic writer when it comes to atmosphere and mood. I think those are his strong points in this novel. I can't speak for any of the other ones that he may have written because I haven't read those yet. But in this book, that was probably my favorite part of this. You really get the vibe of what's going on in this setting based on just his really good descriptions. You really feel like you're there. You feel like you're there with these people. And at first, I thought it was going to be this like dark, suspenseful, supernatural mystery, and it kind of leads you to believe that it's going to be that. But it then just goes, well, here's who did this thing, right? So in order to kind of make that make a little bit more sense here, so it starts off. Well, it actually starts off with this couple that start off, they're in a boat along this river, and they call it the river Styx in this. So they're along this river and they discover a bag. They open this bag up and get attacked by snakes that are inside of this bag, and it ends up killing them, right? And that's how this book opens up. And then it shifts over, and then you're in this perspective of the grown, not grown, but the kids of these people that were just killed by the snakes. So it's in their perspective most of this book. One of those kids ends up getting murdered pretty early on, and it's in detail. I might kind of let y'all know too that if you're not about scary, gory, horrible things, then skip this one because it's not afraid. It doesn't pull punches, guys. It tells you what's going on, and you get uncomfortable. So that can be a little bit of a warning for you if you're gonna be interested in this at all. To skip it if you're not about that stuff. So it starts off with the character's called Margaret. So Margaret gets murdered pretty early on, and I was thinking that it was going to be a mystery, and we were gonna try to figure out through the actions or whatever, or the unveiling of the plot who did it. But that's not what happens here. He just goes, okay, so here's who did it. It's sort of the ghost or a vengeful force of Margaret and some other people that are wrapped up in this that are trying to get revenge on our killer. And that's kind of what the book is about. It's about him experiencing um, them taking out their revenge. So that's pretty cool. My favorite thing that I took away from this was how it was written that you're not really sure if what our killer is experiencing is actually the ghost or whatever of the victims, or if it's his own guilt that's psychologically damaged him so bad that he's having these episodes. And these episodes get intense. He'll like accidentally attack somebody that is at the bank because he's thinking that one of his victims is trying to attack him, and he's disposed Margaret in the river. And so this ghost that he sees is like this slimy, decomposing, dripping wet corpse. It's so good. It's so great to see that this killer is freaking out. Um, and you really are kind of, I'm like, is this really happening, or is it in his head? And I really liked that that's how McDowell decided to tell the story, where you could argue one way or the other. I think it's pretty clear at the end what's going on, but But the way it feels, it's like, man, is he just losing his grip because he can't handle what he's done? There's a lot of family drama here. There's some issues with a bank, an aging banker and his kids. There's some secrets, family secrets that are kind of really fun to explore in this. You sort of understand the motivations of every character in here, and I really appreciated that. You understand the grandma of Margaret. You understand Margaret's brother. You understand Nathan, the son of the banker. You understand the banker and why he doesn't trust his own kids. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and he really does make it feel like these are living, breathing people. And not a lot of horror books that I've read know how to do that and make it engaging. A lot of these are just cardboard cutouts for victims, or they really just serve the purpose of whatever plot point, but they're never really fleshed out all that much. And McDowell does a pretty good job of fleshing these characters out. They really felt like they felt like real people, and I appreciated that. So aside from the Southern Gothic setup and mood and atmosphere of this, it really does feel like a mixture between that old world scary kind of ghost story. It feels almost like Mary Shelley times, like back then, and then it has this kind of modern twist that I really enjoyed. So you really do feel like this is a modern novel. I mean, this came out in 1980, right? So it does feel of its time, but it does harken back to these old, Gothic novels. And it's not difficult to read either. I don't mean that in terms of in terms of the language used in the book itself. It's more so the way that it's plotted out and the way that it sets up um, this scene. Everything is so vivid. They talk about being in this farmhouse. They talk about the river. They talk about the blueberry patches. They talk about the anxiety of the family not knowing if they can pay for the farm because the blueberries are failing because it's raining too much or it's not raining enough or whatever the case is. I really like that because it comes up and it's not like overly done or anything, and it feels real natural. It feels like these are real anxieties that this family has. I guess going into spoiler a little bit, just so you can, I can kind of talk about some of the interesting things about this. Yeah, it's a thumbs up, guys. If you're interested in this, check it out. But I did want to sort of talk about some of the some of the interesting stuff in here. So I might read actually out of this a little bit, and that ought to be fun. But yeah, if I end up kind of spoiling some of this, you've been warned. So our son of the aging banker is the killer, and he gets his younger brother wrapped up in it, and that becomes its own thing. So there's this extra layer of family drama there. So he's sort of horrible, and you really showcases that in the description of how he attacks Margaret, and then you find out later that Nathan and his younger brother were actually the ones that threw the snakes in because they have this like competition where whoever can catch the most snakes in the town gets some kind of prize or whatever. So Nathan and I think his name is Ben, the brothers of the killers, Nathan, right? They they're kids and they threw a bag of snakes, and that's what ends up killing um, Jerry and Margaret's parents. And so he was the one that killed the parents. Then he kills Margaret later on, and then there's other things that happen, of course. But I wanted to showcase kind of what this. I'm going to read this kind of little bit and give you a feel for what this writing style is and why I really enjoyed it. It wasn't the cash register girl at all, but Margaret Larkin, with poised gravity moving slowly and with infinite grace between him and the door. Under the dim spotlight overhead, Nathan could see now that she was made of water, the same grainy black liquid that poured out of the corpses' mouths. The impurities rolled over her body and dress alike, and gathered more densely at the extremities, so that her hands and feet were almost black with them, while her head remained pale by comparison. That was like the one line that I kind of marked off as, wow, that's really cool, and it really showcases, like I said before, the mood and the descriptions. Really fun. Like, God, you imagine he's thinking he's talking to somebody, the cash register girl, but then he's seeing the ghost of this person whom he attacked. I really like that this publishing company kind of is still printing it so that people can check it out. Because I think how I discovered it, I was going through a list of like really great horror novels that weren't like all going to be like Stephen King and like Edgar Allan Poe, all those. I found Michael McDowell on a list of some of the greatest horror writers that just don't pop up in that conversation that often. And so this is one of the books that kept coming up. Hey, you got to check this one. You got to check this one out. So I did, and it was great. And I think that if you're looking for a fun horror novel, Southern Gothic, crazy mystery, you ought to check it out. On that note, you guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. We're going to come back to you with probably one more book review, and then we're definitely going to do The Shining. So that's going to be fun. I don't know which one of those is going to come first. It kind of depends on the guy's schedule. I'm ready to rock and roll on it, whatever they are. But for sure, I think the book that I'm reading now, because I finished this a little bit ago. But the book I'm reading now, I should finish that pretty quick, and I'll probably bring a review on that pretty soon after. So, but yeah, just to get out of here, you guys, you all come back and join us again. Read more, comment, tell me what you want to see next. If there's anything that you think that I would really enjoy based off of some of the things that you've seen me kind of comment on before. Doesn't necessarily have to be horror, but in October that would be cool. But yeah, you guys, y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining me.